Productions, and today we're going to install this ride command unit in this Razor. Polaris makes a special edition ride command that comes with this unit in it. It controls the stereo, there's speakers in the door, it's kind of a cool unit. And you can adapt this to go in any Razor, any Turbo, or any Razor 1000. You will have to buy the dash piece. This unit will not fit in the factory dash piece. You can't modify it to fit, it just won't work. You've got to purchase that. It's got GPS on it, it's got stereo controls on it, it's got Bluetooth where it can control your GoPros on it or a headset, which is kind of cool. It's also got diagnostic features, it's got front and rear camera. It's a pretty neat piece. They're a little complicated to install. We've done quite a few of them and we'll show you the tricks we've learned along the way. So these are the basic components of the ride command system. It comes with a head unit, a mounting bracket, a GPS. It's got a new wiring harness. It's got an antenna, which is optional. You can hook that up if you want to. It doesn't come with a front and rear camera. We opted to go with the rear camera, which comes with the camera, a mounting bracket, and the cables to put it on. So let's pull this thing apart and put it all together. So some of you guys are probably going to run into the same problem that we have on most of our machines. We have a lot of amps and stereos and aftermarket accessories and these things. If you don't and you're hooking one of these up, you can run the end of the wiring harness just through the rubber grommet. That's how the instructions tell you to. We don't have room to run it through there, and so basically we're going to notch out the top and run our wiring harness to the top where it's up out of the way, and we can tie it down and fasten it. Your factory wiring harness has got a 16-pin plug that goes in the back of your instrument cluster. On the new unit, it's got a 32-pin plug that goes in the back. You have to take 5 wires outside of this and install them into this unit here. So it's clearly indicated in the instruction manual. They're numerically ordered. Just take your time and make sure you get this part right. So once you've taken your plug apart here, if you have not disconnected the battery this time, make sure you do. Some of these pins are live, and there's 2 little white buttons on the back of the pin. You just press them with a screwdriver. The plug will come loose at that point. Once it's loose, it doesn't have any compression pressure on it. You just take a screwdriver and lightly pull up on the tab and just gently pull the pins out of the back. So once you've taken your old plug apart, there's 6 wires inside of that plug. Make sure you notice which ones. There's 2 yellow ones, neither of them have a stripe on them. One of them goes into the number 29 plug. One of them goes back into the aftermarket harness here. On this side, they'll connect together. So when you plug them through, they're clearly indicated in the instruction manual. Just make sure you have the right ones in the right plug. Take the little blue clip off here, just press the sides on it, it comes right out. And then you just slide them through real gentle. Make sure you don't bend the pin. And when you see them coming out, as soon as you get them up, you hear them click, just pull them back just a hair, and they're locked in location. So once you get all your pins in, make sure they're all square, they're all good and tight, they're lined back up on there, nothing's loose. Clip the clip back together here. Take the blue cover, slide it back over. You'll hear it clip in, make sure it's in there. The 2 yellow wires that are left come with a piece of shrink wrap. Slide them together. Slide the shrink wrap back over it. Just take a heat gun or a lighter. Seal it on there. And that part of the wiring is done. So as far as hooking up your stereo here and using the ride command as a head unit, the wiring harness has got an amp 1, amp 2, and amp 3. They're all the exact same. Polaris supposedly has got plugs that plug into these to go into RCAs. We've called every Polaris dealership that we know of. Nobody has these. I don't know why that is. We've been able to make our own. Each one of these has got a blue remote wire, a brown ground wire, and a left and a right channel. White's your right channel, gray's your left channel. The grounds have stripes on them. You can take and splice into these wires or make your own pins that plug into them. You can buy one of these at any electronics store. It's just an RCA to wire. So we bought some of these. We ran wires to them to make our own RCAs. The turbos, however, when you hook them up, get a lot of feedback. Our good buddy Brooks, that runs ProTech here, a local shop, he figured out that if you put an isolator on your RCAs and ground them out, the feedback goes away. I'm not quite sure why that is, but every turbo we've done has had the same problem, and that's fixed it. So this is a good solution, and hopefully Polaris will actually step up and make some parts for these pretty soon, but we haven't seen them yet. So the head unit has got a metal bracket that comes in the kit. It's got 3 torch bit machine screws that hold that to the head unit. Just place the head unit in the new dash. It's got a real good clean factory look to it. And it's got 4 coarse threaded plastic bolts that hold the bracket to the dash. Just install those and we'll be on to the next step. So we basically put a slit in through here where we can run the harness through. Your factory plug here, your diagnostic plug is attached to the firewall. Pull that clip out. The new harness plugs into that clip. Put the cover back on the old harness. And you can mount that in the same location where the diagnostic end was before. Then you route this through. This piece goes in front of your radiator. This is for your front camera. This is for the GPS. The GPS gets mounted here. All the razors have a hole on top of the radiator shroud. It mounts through there. It's got 2-sided sticky tape on it. This plugs to the bottom of it for the GPS so it knows which direction you're going. And this here is for an outside temperature sensor that comes with the kit. So you plug this in, route this in front of your radiator, and on the head unit it'll give you a current temperature outside. So you just kind of follow the same line through the frame. It's got a clip on there. It's clearly indicated in the instruction manual how to wire it through. Just make sure nothing's in the way of the fan. Make sure we like to go a little overcautious and zip tie stuff down. These little clips are pretty good, but if you're bouncing around on the road, they might come loose. So get them in good and secure. So we wired our camera mount. The wire we ran outside of the firewall, down underneath with the battery cables, back out through behind the seats here, up through the frame. We installed our camera right here. It's a flush mount. There's a bracket that comes with the kit. I don't really like the look of the bracket so much, but if you've got aftermarket bumpers, we've done a couple of them where we've mounted them up high. They're a fisheye lens. One of the cool features about the Ride Command is when you put it in reverse, it actually turns on the reverse camera. It's a 7-inch screen, so it's kind of like in a truck, so you can see when you're backing up. You can also push the camera on while you're driving. It can be on full time. I have a daughter that follows me around when I'm out rock crawling, and it's really handy when you're maneuvering. You kind of keep an eye on the mirrors. It's kind of tough, and it's hard to turn around, so I just leave the camera on all the time, and that works pretty good to keep track of what's going on behind you. And now let's look at the inside here. So here it is all installed. When you turn on your key and it comes on, kind of got a cool little intro there to it. So it's got 2 different displays that's on it. It's got this one and this one. I'm kind of partial to this one myself, but it's got your tach, your speedometer, your temperature, your outside temperature, your gear indicator to tell you what gear you're in. It's got an extra high beam switch up there if you got your high beams on. Your indicator for 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive's on there. This is the switch where you can push your camera if you want your camera on full time to drive. It's pretty cool. Your GPS is a push button. It's really easy. You can mess with your stereo. You can turn it up and down and mute it while it's on any screen. Your music's on here. When you go here, you got your settings. You can adjust the lightness, the darkness on it. There's diagnostics on here for your machine. You can adjust your GoPros or Bluetooth to your GoPros. It'll run multiple cameras at the same time. And like I said before, when your GoPros are synced to this, you can actually see what your GoPros see. Then you can hit the camera mode or the capture mode, or you can record while you're going. You can turn them on and off in here. So that's pretty cool when you're going down the trail and you're trying to get some videos. You can Bluetooth to your phones. You can put multiple phones on it, so you can run your own music, which is pretty neat. It's all in all a really cool system. It's really user friendly, and it's just kind of unique. I mean, it's got a real good finished look to it, and it's a really impressive product. I like it a lot. So all in all, this was about a 2-hour installation process. It's a little bit tedious, but if you follow the instructions, it's really not that hard. They're a little bit expensive, but when you think about what you get with them, it's kind of a good bang for the buck. You get the GPS, you get the cameras, you get the There's a diagnostic system on there, so if it pops a code, it actually tells you what it is. You have the ability to Bluetooth to your GoPros on it. You can ping your buddies. Anybody who's got one of these, the machines communicate with each other so nobody gets lost. I was down in Moab a couple days ago. I run one of these in my machine, and the trails are indicated on the GPS, so if you come to a crossroads, it keeps you on the right trail so you don't get lost. I highly recommend this to anybody. It's a great product. So that's basically how our dash goes together. It's a pretty simple process. Now we're going to pause for a minute for a commercial break from hopefully our next sponsor.